been watching Real Survivor. So I remember back in my middle school days when it started, and every season I'm like, wow, it would be so cool to play. I think I would be so freaking good at it. Sign me up immediately.
Everyone once played for the first time.
I wanted to play Survivor Branford because I saw the way that other people were playing the game in the seasons previous, and I just thought that I could do as good a job or better.
In a season where returning players used their prior experience to dominate the competition, don't forget there was a time when they too were all rookies themselves.
I want to play Survivor Branford. I've been watching it for the past couple of years. I've been very excited. I've just been watching and I was hoping that I'd get the opportunity to play.
And 3 are left, each ready to make the next jump from Survivor Branford veteran to Survivor Branford winner.
Hoping I make it a little bit further than I did last year. Once I made it past that spot, I was like, all right, gotta get to the end now. Final 3, baby. I'm extremely happy to be here. I feel like I did what I needed to do to secure my spot.
I needed to prove that I could play the game for real. Yeah, man. Final 3. I'm feeling a lot of feelings right now. That's not for me.
I'm so happy to be in the final 3. It's been a wild ride. I feel like I really deserve credit, or I was really good at my social game. I feel like I had a strategy, I executed it, and it got me to where I want to be.
Some of Survivor Branford's most memorable winners were born out of a story of growth over multiple seasons. The only question left is whose story we've been the audience to this season.
Who really knows? They've all been great competitors and great players. I hope that they can just listen to what I'm saying and kind of see why I'm deserving of the win.
Me, Pat, Haley we all played very different games from the returning tribe, and it's gonna be, I feel like, an equal battle.
Hey, I'm a storyteller. That's where I'll shine. I want to throw some real haymakers. The real L is not making an impact.
Well, everyone, welcome to Final Tribal Council of Season 9 of Survivor Branford. Sarah, Haley, Pat, congratulations. You made it as far as you can go in this game. Jury, all 11 of you, it's your job to assess these final 3, get the information that you require to make a vote for one of the 3 of them to be the winner of this season, to represent Season 9 as a whole. So the way that Final Tribal Council works is that each of the final 3 will make a brief opening statement. Let the jury know what you'd like them to know right up front. From there, we'll transition to the jury. So we will structure Tribal Council first to address the Outwit elements of the game, so the strategic side. We'll move into the Outplay portion, which is more the physical elements of the weekend and the challenges. And then finally, we'll address Outlast, which I'll consider the social relationships that are also a part of this game. If there are no further comments, then we'll begin. Pat, you can make your opening statement first.
Alright, hey everybody. I'm gonna be honest here. I decided against writing down a sales pitch of any kind. I just wanted to say thank you to literally everybody. I feel like my game was super open. All that I feel like is left is if there's any little pieces that you guys don't feel like you got the full picture of, those are the questions that I would really love to hear from you. I know like we're supposed to be the ones like on trial or whatever here. It can be just as stressful on your guys' end. Like whatever you put down, you're gonna have to hold up that name in front of a camera and justify why. Best of luck.
Thank you, Pat. Haley, would you give your opening statement?
Hey everybody. I'm so glad that I came back and played this year. I feel like from the game that I played last season to the game that I played this season, it was just a completely different game. I'm very proud of the game that I played this year. I was very honest to everybody and I feel like I didn't really backstab anybody. I hope there's no hard feelings for anything because it really was just a strategic game move for me to get here and nothing personal. Feel free to ask questions and I'll answer.
Thank you, Haley. And finally, Sarah, can you give your opening statement?
Hey everybody, it was very intimidating to come to all of this. And one thing that I thought about coming into it was just that like the person that I am is just like very positive and excited person. I wanted to like share that with everybody in this game, and I feel like that also makes me somebody that's like an effective Survivor player because relationships are just like so important to me, and building relationships is like critical to everything. And the people that I have like built those relationships with through this game, like I never deviated from those. I was loyal to the people that I was loyal to from the moment the game started. There were votes that were like hard for me. I do want to call out like Michelle, like we had a really good conversation about just being like emotional and sensitive or whatever you want to call it, and I felt like I wanted to do everything that I could for you, and then like it was just like there was too much momentum behind that, and there was just like nothing I could do to like salvage like keeping you in the game. But I feel, and I'm probably rambling too much at this point, so I'll just leave it there.
Thank you, Final Three, for those opening statements. We're now going to allow the jury to join the conversation. As I said before, we're going to begin with the Outwit phase of this game. So we're going to center our conversation around the strategic decisions. So if anybody on the jury would like to kick off this phase, you can do so.
Congratulations, Final Three. You guys all played amazing games. You did what us 11 couldn't do, make it to the Final Three. So you should all be proud of your games no matter what happens. Were there one or more votes that you believe that you spearheaded or had a large part in?
Well, the most recent one that comes to memory, I spearheaded the vote against Tasha. There were definitely opportunities I had to flip one way or the other, or maybe push a little harder on a vote or two, but I'm proud of myself for biding my time because I think some players who played more aggressively, that turned out not to be the right move, for better or for worse.
So I feel like the most recent one for me that comes to my mind is the vote with Dennis, which I still feel really sorry about Dennis. I'm so sorry, nothing personal. But Tasha and I kind of talked over like, I think this is the time to make a big move, and unfortunately it cost Dennis the game. Another vote that I feel like I kind of spearheaded was the vote with Tim, where he played the immunity idol, and I was like, we need to split the vote just in case he has an idol.
For me, strategy and like outwit doesn't necessarily mean, oh, I have to spearhead a vote or I have to make a big move. I can give Danny as an example. Like there was one vote where he absolutely spearheaded, and then he was the next person voted out. So I think that that's just a good example of like why you don't want to like put yourself all the way out there. For me, again, it was like relying on my relationships, and I'll specifically call it out with Dennis and Brandon. That was my strategy going in, and I effectively implemented that strategy, and that is why that I'm here.
Yeah, I probably need an answer. I feel like you did. I feel like I'm more aware of how you set yourself up at the start of the game. For the other two of you, did you have a group that you felt solid with, you were good?
Dennis, I feel like you know the answer with me, right? Like, come on.
I mean, you would have been out if we had lost 3 out of the 4 challenges.
I don't know, I locked in with you and Brandon early on. We had our options and we left those options open, and I think that was good to not just narrow in on one particular vote at any given point, you know?
Just to interject there, you may have thought you were solid with the three of us, but you were just an option to us. We had a lot of other options. So you weren't locked in.
I can confirm you were at times, and then some of your own actions pushed you to the other end. Yeah.
There's irony in you saying from the start of your speech that you were an open book when from the very first hour of the game when we had already won, you told everyone in a team meeting that you were vetting for me and you made it personal at that point.
How do you feel I made it personal?
We had won the challenge and you felt the need to use your position of power of finding the idol to then throw me under the bus in front of the entire group. So.
Okay, yeah, that's fair.
Last year I wanted to be more of a physical threat. I came in this year and I wanted to be more of a social chameleon. I think Brandon called me that and I was like, that's kind of how I feel like playing the game this year. To like kind of float around, kind of try to talk to everybody. I feel like in the beginning, me and Michelle were kind of close after she found the idol and I had shared the clue with her. I shared the clue with Danny as well, so I feel like we were kind of tight in the beginning, but I can't really say that I had a core group the entire game, and I feel like that kind of worked well for me this time.
Speaking of that fake idol, did you know it was fake or did you not?
I knew it was fake.
Yeah?
It was mine. It was my fake
You
idol.
planted the idol, so that kind of made me
Both of
angry.
them.
I had the real clue, and everybody was like, I don't know if your clue is real because Pat's saying that he has the clue. So I was going around and people were like not trusting me that I had the real clue.
In what way did planting that fake idol give you an advantage in this game?
My thinking was, I know I'm not good at finding idols, so let's stop everybody else from looking for them. And so I understand there are people who disagree with that strategy. My feeling was, for anybody who saw my season last year, I didn't make any big moves right out the gate, and I got voted out without feeling like I had made my mark on the game. When we were playing ping pong up there, you throw the ball and you get too many bounces. The next thing you should do is throw the ball and aim to get not too many bounces. Did I overshoot? If you guys think so, that's a totally valid opinion. I frankly felt that way myself.
So I have a question for Sarah and Haley. I approached you, Sarah, because I knew you were super tight with Brandon and Dennis several times to try to vote one of them out, and you were never willing to do it. Haley, I know you said you were like more of a chameleon, kind of up for it, but it took a while for you to be willing to make a big move with me. What made you ultimately say yes and say it's time to make a big move? And Sarah, why did you never want to make a big move?
All night last night, I was like in my head, I was like, the end of this game is going to be me, Tasha, Brandon, and Dennis.
But I wasn't in the triangle, so I was just a number.
We had a square.
You wanted to make moves against other people, but your strategy was you wanted to stay tight with your
Stay
alliance.
tight, and then also, I was very aware that Dennis and Brandon are big targets. So, to me, not only are they my allies and numbers for me, and like people that I have good relationships with, they are also going to be the ones that get taken out before me. And so, it was almost like similar for you and Tim. Like once Tim is gone, you're the last one. Once these guys start getting taken out, then it's me.
At that time, it was a lot of the votes I was like in the majority of. There was just a lot of people like kind of in my ear like, okay, we should do this, we should do this. And I was like, you know what, I think it's time for me to go on my own path and do what's going to be best for me at this point in the game. I need to make my own decision and see who I want to sit next to in the final three. And I loved working with Dennis and I loved working with you, Tasha, but I feel like you guys would have had a stronger case than me.
I have a quick question for Haley. You played your hidden idol at the last tribal council that you were able to.
Yes.
Do you feel like you should have played it earlier, saved somebody, like now in hindsight?
The thing with the idol is if I didn't win the immunity challenge, so I used it on myself. If I had won the immunity challenge, I would have still played the idol on somebody else that I wanted to have sitting in the final three with me and hoping that they could have got further. So I had actually brought the idol to a couple of the tribal councils and I was like, I don't feel the need that I'm gonna need to use it. So that's kind of why I had to save it to the last minute, and that's why I used it then.
Sarah, you specifically said that you wish you could have done something on my vote. However, you didn't actually do anything. I just was wondering why.
I would say like I actually feel strongly about like we needed a fourth when it was like, you know, our starting tribe of 7. I pitched to these guys like I would like Michelle to be our fourth. And there was pushback that you were too much of a threat. On multiple occasions, I came back, the three of us talked, I was like, I would like Michelle to be our fourth. And they, like, there's only so many times I can say that to them. I can't be the only one out of the 3 that's like pushing for you to be the fourth.
I want to be completely transparent. I had no idea that you were going out, and I do want to thank you for sticking to what we talked about in the beginning of the game, where if I shared the clue with you, you were going to share the idol with me, I would use it on you, and you would use it on me. And I am regretful in not using it on you at that point, because I just genuinely had no idea that that was happening, and that was a complete blindside for me. And that's where I feel like my game kind of turned, and I was like, I need to push now for myself, because I don't want to be in this position again.
Regarding the situation with you and Sarah, there wasn't ever really like a conspiracy among the triangle to target anyone on our team. It really was just kind of like whoever's willing to work with us in any given round is who we want to work with. Danny, I believe, you were the one who at some point, you're like, Michelle, we need to get her out, and you were passionate about it. You came to us and we were like, okay, we have a fourth. And I think that's just kind of how the chips fell. It wasn't anyone internally pushing to get rid of you.
Yeah.
Whatever conversations you had, I'm confident were genuine.
100%.
If that's any consolation.
This is for both Haley and Sarah. Can you explain a bit why the other person was an inferior strategic player than you?
I'm not gonna say inferior. I'd say we had very different it was like complete opposite strategy.
Yeah.
Like, I had a tight alliance, whereas she was a social chameleon and just like went with whoever. And I think we both ended up here because we effectively implemented our different strategies.
You were loyal to all your alliances, and you had these tight alliances, and I just didn't have that. We just played completely opposite games.
So neither of you feel strategically one is you're stronger than the other person.
Factually, how can you say that? We're both sitting here and that's the goal here.
You can say I'm stronger if you want.
You're so strong.
I do have one quick question for Pat. You get one
Yes.
there.
Yes.
There seems to be a lot of times in the second half of the game where you were just saying, you defer to what I do.
Yep.
You like openly were telling multiple people you had a final two with me, or you were gonna. I didn't even make like a final two, but you're like, I'm going to the end with Dennis. Were you really just like deferring to all that, or was that some kind of play? And like, what was the thought behind sharing with so many people that you wanted to go to the end with me?
By telling more people about that, I felt like it would get back to you, and you would feel more confident. I mean, Dennis, let's be honest.
I
here.
felt
You're
good
the
about
smart-
going to the end with you, but I was like, do I have to cut this liability final two if he's gonna tell every secret?
That's fair.
So
That's fair. That's fair, dude.
So now we're going to move into the outplay phase of this discussion. So let's focus our questions now on the immunity challenges, the physical aspects of this weekend, and everything that falls under that category.
All three of you were on the returning team, which is excellent. We had a very strong start. Won a lot of challenges out of the gate. Notably, none of you won any until the very end. How do you feel that impacted your chances?
Maybe this sounds cocky, but I was never once in this game was like, oh, I really need to win immunity. If you're relying on immunity to get like to the next step, that's fine. Like, that's one way to do it. I feel like you don't want to rely on that as your way to get to the next level.
I came in and I said I didn't want to play a physical game this year because that's what I did last year, and I wanted to do something different because I feel like that didn't get me as far as I wanted to get. So this year my thoughts coming in where I'm not going to play an extremely physical game. I want to play a physical game with my team to help them get to the merge, but in the immunity challenges, I didn't want to push as hard as I did last year. The first couple challenges I wasn't going as hard, but the last couple I was, and that was just, I just couldn't win them. So that's kind of my strategy around my gameplay.
First couple post-merge challenges, definitely like we weren't feeling, I feel like nearly as much pressure to win those ones. But as we got to the end, it became more and more apparent that we need to start getting the wins. Literally the most important one is the one that I pushed myself harder than I've ever pushed myself and brought it home.
That was awesome. Seriously.
Thank you. To get myself into a really good position of power where I could make a call for the final three, because I tried to hang back a lot more once we got to the post-merge and just kind of vote with the house for a while. And then also, if you want to talk about those pre-merge challenges, I think it was you who said, Pat, you were the MVP back there. All right, yeah, everybody saw that nod, right? All right, that's it for me.
So this question is for Haley. So in the final five vote, when you played your idol, did you think you were in trouble and that's why you played it on yourself? And if you didn't think you were necessarily going to be the one voted out, how come you didn't use it on someone else?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I personally, I did feel safe in that vote. I did play it on myself just in case I was wrong. I could have played it on somebody else, like Sarah or something, but I just feel like that wouldn't benefit my game to get here.
I think it was the right move to play it on yourself.
So Pat, You winning that Final Four immunity challenge, do you think that it was a very crucial win? Also, do you think you were in trouble if you did lose?
Well, when I asked them about it, they were saying other stuff. But like, the thing is,
Why wouldn't we?
The thing is, I put myself on the wrong side of the dentist vote, and I said as I was voting on the revote, I was like, I know I'm on the wrong side of this one, but I'm just gonna give it my all in the last challenge, and I'm proud of myself for sticking to my guns there.
I have a question for Haley and Sarah. Had either of you won that final challenge instead, do you think the final three would have been differently?
Yeah.
Yeah, Pat would have been gone.
Yeah, we talked about Final Three with us girls
Yeah,
instead.
for sure. 100%.
Yeah. And that was our initial plan kind of going into the last challenge.
And we actually, we talked about it, we were like, any one of us wins, it's Pat.
Yeah.
Is there a specific reason
for that?
I was honestly nervous about what Pat was going to say during
Yeah,
this.
yeah.
From all the blow up that happened earlier in the game, I was like, what is Pat going to say at the final tribal council?
Yeah.
That was my main reason for kind of like getting out.
I wouldn't mind if episode title is "What is Pat gonna say?"
I know you were nervous about what Pat would say, but were you also nervous about what Tasha would have said? Because Tasha played an outstanding game, was on the bottom, played great pre-merge and merge, so do you really think you could have beaten her in the end?
No, I will say that right now. I loved working with Tasha, but I just knew that she would have most of the jury.
So then why would you have brought her to the end if Pat didn't win immunity?
I just had to see how it played out. I needed to see how the challenge played out before I chose who I was bringing to the end with me. That was kind of the thing.
Do you feel that way too, Sarah?
I feel like that's just like classic me. I'm like, react one way and then I'm like, wait, I should actually think about that, which I'm sure many of you saw throughout the game. As we had talked about, like the three of us, it actually did make sense, I think, for the three of us to get rid of Tasha. So I think you guys, like, talking back through that, yeah, it was probably gonna be Tasha.
All right, let's move to the final phase of the final tribal council, which is the Outlast element. So let's talk now social interpersonal relationships that no doubt drove us to where we ended in this game.
This game, I feel like, is really all about the people. So I want to hear from each of you how you used your relationships in this game, new or old, and how you kind of use those to vault yourself forward.
At the start of the game, being on the Returners tribe, the only person I worked with was Michelle previously. So I kind of started off with Michelle just to kind of get my footing in the game. I felt like that was a smart move and I felt we worked well together. And then I wanted to also get to know all the returning players because I hadn't worked with them before. I'd played with Dennis before, I had played with Pat before, but I had never really worked with them. So that's kind of the game that I played and I wanted to get to know people.
Relationships were my whole game. I think probably my best example of that is with Brendan. Like from our first conversation, me as a person, I'm just big on like energy matching and like I'm just like really excitable and I feel like we just like had a really great connection from our first conversation. Another thing that I felt really got me here was the connection that I was able to make when I went over as ambassador to when there were 4 people left. I was able to talk to some of you guys, Steve, Tim, Tasha, and Josh too. Me just like jumping in and like looking for the idol with you guys, I feel like that's like very like disarming for people to like just see you more as like a person rather than a number, and just like creating good vibes with people and like good energy, and like, you know, if you extend that to people, like they're gonna want to keep you around, and like that's just kind of what I built my whole game on.
So from a social standpoint, I feel like Sarah, you indicated you would work with me. Haley, we worked together on the Dennis vote especially. I feel like with you, Pat, you were always very closed off to me and would never really give me information. So what was the social play with that when I joined the tribe that you wanted to not necessarily form that bond?
I mean, the fact is, you and Tim both being from the Newbies tribe, I feel like you guys had like really good stories going into final, and so it seemed like really sketchy to try to commit to any kind of a Final 4 or Final 3 with either of you. I felt solid about Dennis and I. Dennis, I don't think you ever felt solid about her, and it was like, okay, well, if we have all these options, I want to keep the options open. I don't think I completely closed you off until after the Dennis vote, and then it was like, okay.
I have a question for the jury. Did anyone feel solid with Pat?
I did at certain points, but it was
I
very
think it was
shaky.
an on and off like at the start of the game, like I said, you would have been my first vote out, but then you did repair some of it.
You voted for Brandon, so I felt solid when you finally committed to Brandon.
Thank you.
Not the first time, but the second time. When we tried to get you guys to vote for him. So why did you guys like try to work with me?
Yeah, so I think we went in 7 strong. That's not going to last all the way to the end, so we need to break up somewhere. I just wanted to see what you and Tim had to offer. And in the game that I played last year, I feel like we swapped tribes so much, but I still ended up working with the same people. So I think that this year it was a better opportunity for me to work with other people. I feel like I did play a really honest game, and if I did change vote at one point, or if I did lie to you, I admitted to it. I said that I apologize for doing that.
Just going back again to my, our triangle, I think they were trying to be a little bit more like flexible with who would fill in that 4th and 5th spot, or like the voting. I felt like picking up you two would like fit in, and then sorry Tim, like you would have been 5th, but that was my vision for the end, and I guess like specifically like why you. It's kind of like that reciprocation, that energy matching thing. You can kind of tell like if you're like talking to somebody and you're excited about something and then they're excited back at you, it's like, yeah, okay, like we're both excited about that, like let's do this together. It's hard to describe, but it's like in the moment of it, it's like just feeling good about thinking that you can work with someone.
I'm pretty sure I got 14 votes this entire game. Haley, how many votes did you get this entire game?
1.
You got a single vote.
From Danny.
I think the fact that you all got very little amount of votes is impressive, and I wanted to have you guys clarify how you were able to do that where I clearly failed.
I think I really overexposed myself in the beginning, and then I was like, okay, that's no good, especially post-merge, and I was really like sticking to the shadows, drafting behind other people, just waiting for the opportune moment. I know that's why we had certain disagreements about like the timings of like when we get out Brandon, and things like this, but I don't feel like I would change the timing of when I started to push myself further and further into the front of the game.
For me, it was specifically that I aligned myself with 2 guys I knew were going to be taking the heat from me, so I kind of knew that by aligning myself with them, not only did I want to work with them personally and like had a great time doing that, it was just a really good position for me to be in strategically as well, in terms of they can be my shields too, and they were.
I think not coming off as a physical threat in this game might have helped as well, because I feel like that was a big thing this year, that people were kind of voting people out because they were a big physical threat. And I also think that not having a set of lines from the beginning of the game that I stuck with kind of helped me to get here.
Out of the people on the jury, who do you feel was your most important social connection to get you to where you are now?
Tasha helped me to get here the most. I connected with her at the end of the game. We did that big Dennis vote together, and we did a lot of other votes previous to that together. Again, I'm sorry that it had to turn out this way.
Honestly, Danny gave me a lot of good advice. Yeah. I feel like you can see a pretty marked change where I'm at the beginning of the game, and then as I'm talking to Danny and he's telling me like how he would play in my situation, and I took a lot of that to heart.
I would say Dennis, and specifically because me and Brendan are almost too similar, where I would describe us both as a little chaotic, whereas Dennis I viewed as like a good counterbalance for me. I just felt like Dennis, like talking to Dennis would always just like kind of recenter me, calm down, and like figure out like a few steps ahead.
Jury, thank you for a great final tribal council and of course final 3, especially in front of our largest ever jury. I know it can't be easy being over there, but you all stated your case and made a strong argument for why you should be the winner of Survivor Branford Season 9. Jury, I hope you got what you need, because now it's all up to you to make that decision. And with all that said, Christy, we'll have you go first.
is the least decided I've been at this point by far in any season.
Here we are, from the first vote of the season to the last one.
Well, congratulations again, Final 3.
I'd also like to say congratulations to the jury.
I'm proud of everybody here. I think we had a great weekend, and I am honored to have shared it with you.
We have nothing left to do but read the votes for one last time.
Final 3, you want to see your name. This is for the winner of the game.
First vote, Haley. Sarah.
1 vote Sarah, 1 vote Haley.
Sarah.
2 votes Sarah, 1 vote Haley.
Haley.
2 votes Haley, 2 votes Sarah.
Haley.
3 votes Haley, 2 votes Sarah.
Haley.
4 votes Haley, 2 votes Sarah.
Haley, that's
5 votes Haley, 2 votes Sarah.
And the winner of Survivor Branford, Season 9, Haley.
Thank everybody. This has been like the most amazing weekend. Like I said, I was like, I don't know if I want to come back again and play this year after that last year because it's so stressful, but I'm just so happy that I came back and you guys are awesome. Thank you guys so much. I'm so proud of you guys.